So the question is, what stops us? What stops us from really sensing beings in our daily life and those that we don't know from being more real and from mattering to us? There are three main ways that we get blocked. Now, the second one is more emotionally challenging. And this is the block where we have the habit of sensing this person's bad. They're in some way less than. And as soon as there's hierarchy, our heart is not fully open. When there's any difference, it sets off a bit of a fear that says, oh, other, not as good. We do it very quickly. And I really feel like a huge portion of the healing that's absolutely essential in our world is this commitment to shining a light on the unseen biases that create that separation. I think of the United States, our societal conditioning to assigning blame, to creating inferior, punishing badness, has led to more incarceration than any other country in the world. We are 5 times more in terms of our prison population than the average of most every other country in the world. 5 times more. And that's a signal of the hierarchy and the blaming and the punishing. And then, of course, our toxic societal bias against people of color means that 6 times as many African Americans as whites in our jails. This is the suffering of hierarchy, of superior, inferior. And of course, it plays out gender difference in genders, sexual orientation, gender identity. Politics is really huge right now. It's very hard to be thinking about what's going on politically and not snap into a sense of bad other. I know you understand. When we are living inside bias, superior, inferior, we can't see who's there. Our intelligence, our wisdom, our sight is narrowed. We can't see the goodness. We can't see our shared vulnerability. I often mention Mother Teresa saying, if you're suffering, it's because you've forgotten that you belong. And it doesn't matter whether we think we're superior or inferior. Either way, it's severed belonging, right? So we then sense what helps us to undo this. And the antidote is the intention when we become aware that there's in some way a putting down or an inflation, that we pause. And instead of believing our thoughts, we look to see the vulnerability. What's it like being you? And we look to see the goodness. And I find for myself, I have a phrase that I sometimes will just say, which is not superior, not inferior. Not superior, not inferior. Who am I if I'm not superior or inferior? And I find when I really let that settle into my body, it's like a lot of space opens up, and it's a mysterious belonging to the universe. Not superior, not inferior. You might take a moment and pause, and we'll just do a brief reflection here. I invite you to bring to mind someone either you know or you don't know, but of a different class or race or political party, some difference where you suspect the conditioning of superior, inferior is activated in you. Ideally, a person, a real living person that you know, where on some level you suspect that you feel superior. And you might feel superior not for reasons of race or religion or class, but because you feel like you're more intelligent or successful or attractive or whatever it is. We evaluate on all those levels all the time, in a moment. So someone where you sense that you are living inside a sense of superior. And take a moment to deepen your attention to the person, to both their human vulnerability, what they might be living with, the fears, the hurts. And see if you can see beyond the mask to basic goodness. How this being longs to love and be loved. Has a sense of wonder. Sensing the sacredness, the life that lives through this being. You might sense not superior, not inferior. Who are we? Who are we when there's really no superior or inferior? Can you see that bird has my wings? This radical belonging.